what you might add or increase or add to the playbook going forward?
Yeah, very thorough evaluation of where we're at and where we've fallen short, both as coaches and as players, and try to modify and adjust. You're not reinventing what you've done, but certainly willing to modify what you've done. Obviously, we haven't had the success that we're capable of, and so you spend a lot of time, reflecting, evaluating, looking for ways to improve, for ways to coach better, to allow our players to play more confidently, faster, and allow them to, be the players that we know that they are. So there was a lot of that, both schematically, situationally, play calling, you name it, we evaluated it all. So spent a good portion of the time throughout last week doing that, while also preparing for Michigan State.
I recognize you're probably not going to share X's and O's wise what works for Jack or what makes Jack most comfortable, but especially given that he's already got a lot of time on task. He was a starting quarterback for a portion of last season. He spent a lot of the offseason kind of as de facto QB1. Is the bye week well timed in maybe getting him prepared if you need him in terms of being able to have a lot of that time to just come in and be intensive and maybe conceptual, I guess, in some ways with him in terms of saying, okay, let's just really sit down and dive deep into what's going to work for you?
Yeah, I think you have those conversations with all your quarterbacks throughout the year, both in training camp, spring practice. And so certainly each quarterback likes certain concepts better, worse than others. And so I think that communication happens more regularly than you think. But, as far as repetitions in practice and those types of things, I think things reveal themselves to you. But we try to cater to whoever's playing quarterback, to try to run the plays that they feel most comfortable with and that we feel like gives them the best opportunity to be successful and get first downs and score points. So, and that goes for every position, not just the quarterback. If you have different runners in the game, you have different wideouts in the game, different linemen in the game, you're trying to run the plays that they are most confident in and they feel that they can execute at a high level. So I think that would go with any position. Certainly the quarterback gets a lot of attention regarding that. But, I think a lot of quarterbacks, there's more similarities than differences, but certainly there are some differences, and you're trying to cater to that.
Hey, Coach, what do you feel with Jack Tuttle? What are the top 3 or 4 things that stand out to you as far as qualities he has that can help you guys win Big Ten games?
Well, I think just Jack's preparation, his work ethic, is as good as I've been around. I would start there. I certainly think he has the physical ability and tools to be a successful quarterback. He's shown that in our conference. But I would just say that his work ethic and preparation is as good as I've been around. And so that gives you confidence as a coach that he'll be prepared and ready to go.
Is there anything that you want to see more out of the offensive line that has maybe disappointed you to this point in the season? Just what do you want to see out of that group going forward?
I would say, and not just the offensive line, just the unit as a whole has been inconsistent and we haven't produced good enough, and the person that's most responsible for that is me, not the players. And so, I think there's a lot of quality players in that room that can play better. And that's my job to make sure that we're allowing for that, whether it be the schemes, the teaching, the preparation as a staff throughout the week to give them the confidence to play to their capabilities, which I think there's a lot more for that group, a lot more that they're capable of, and it's my responsibility. It's not theirs, So we gotta put them in better positions throughout the week of preparation to give them the confidence so that they can play up to their capabilities, which I think they have shown at times to play really well. They just have been inconsistent like our whole group has, and that's not their fault. It's not on the players. That's on me. And so we're hunting that. We're searching that. We're trying to get them to feel confident so that they can let it rip. And I think when they've done that, they've done a nice job. I thought there were runs in the game on Saturday where they did a good job, where they were hats on hats. They were moving guys. They were playing with toughness, with effort. We had positive runs. We just need to be more consistent, and that's my fault, and that's my responsibility, and so we're looking to make that better.
Just following up on the running backs again, with all the injuries you've had now and transfers and just all the shakeup in that running back room, you have your starter, but what's your plan after Stephen Carr? How do you guys plan to balance carries between Carr and everyone else, and try to work in David Holloman, Trent Howland when he's ready, and guys like that into the offense?
Yeah, your point's well taken there. It has been certainly a little bit of a shakeup, but we have quality players in that room. Irv and Chris, 2 freshmen, Trent and David. I mean, those guys got to step up, and it'll be a little bit by committee after Steven. All those guys are well coached and well prepared. They all have different strengths, and so, between myself and Coach McCullough, just balancing that out, making sure those guys are prepared and ready to go. We're going to need them all. The room looks certainly different now than it did at the start of camp, but those guys are quality players and capable, and we got to just make sure that we put them in good positions and that they're ready to go.
Coach, I guess, even though he's the backup, what excites you as a play caller for Jack Tuttle? Does that open up more opportunities, less opportunities? I guess, what's your mindset heading into this week with his talent, what he's able to do?
I'm just, for any player that gets opportunities to play, whether it's at quarterback or other positions, that position particularly, there's only one person that takes a snap. Other positions get an opportunity to rotate and play, even if you're not the starter. So, regardless of what happens by the time we get to kickoff on who's taking the snap, I'm excited for anybody that gets a chance to play quarterback at this school in this conference. And whether it's Mike, Jack, Donovan, Grant, Will, Zach, Dexter, any of the guys in our room, I just think playing college football is a special thing. Obviously, to this point, we haven't played well, and I know that's not over. No one's it hasn't been as enjoyable of an experience as you'd like. But it's great. It's a blessing. You get to play college football in the Big Ten at this school. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There's a lot of kids out there that don't get that opportunity. They don't get to play quarterback at this level, or line at this level, or running back, or wideout, or tight end, you name it. And so I just want the guys to enjoy it. I want them to feel blessed and excited about the competition, about the challenge, about the adversity when you face it, and I want them to enjoy their experience as college football players. And so that's what I hope for all the players, not just the quarterbacks, not just offensive players. I hope the boys are able to look back on their college career fondly and excited about just the opportunities that they were blessed to have. So that's how I'd answer that.
Hey, Coach, the biggest question I got during the bye week was, does IU need more creativity and more things like that, explosive plays on offense? Coach Allen mentioned maybe it's more about execution, but what are your thoughts? Do you guys need more creativity? Do you need more of those kind of things, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's, I just haven't done a good enough job. So I don't want to stand up here and make excuses. I think it's easy to say that the creativity is not there when the plays aren't working. That's an easy thing to say, but also maybe a fair thing to say. There's a reason why the execution isn't where it's at, and whether it is the scheme's too predictable, that may be a factor. And we look at that. We sit there and say, are we too predictable? Does the other team know what we're doing? And if that's the case, then you got to put your players in better position. There's also times where we feel like we're just not executing it well enough, and that's also the coach's job. So you look at all that, and the criticism that's, until we produce better, I mean, all those things are being evaluated and worth discussion, no doubt. I think it's always about the execution. It's just, are you making it easier for the players? Is the creativity allowing for an easier path to execute? You got to judge that. You got to make those decisions as a staff. You can run different styles of plays, different misdirections, but if it confuses your own players, then that's not beneficial either. So I think all those discussions are had on a weekly basis. We're certainly trying to keep the defense off balance, but certainly the production hasn't been what we need it to be, and that's my job, and I haven't done a good enough job of that. And we're searching for every answer possible to allow our players to have the success that I know that they're capable of. So whether it's misdirection or different types of plays or you name it, it's still, when you call those types of plays, you still got to execute it. You still got to, if you run a reverse, you got to make sure that you hand it off properly or block the right guy on whatever it may be. So all those conversations are had. And certainly I got to do a better job for our players.
Coach Allen had made mention that this Michigan State team, they're pretty adept at bending but not breaking. They give up a lot of yards, but they don't give up a lot of points. What to you is going to be the key for you guys to break them, to get those points on the board and not just rack up a big yardage game, but points as well?
Yeah, I mean, the game ultimately comes down to points. I know you guys understand that, and I look back at our opportunities this year. We have missed some opportunities to score more points, in the 3 games that we have lost. Certainly that was a factor, You point to Iowa, we had 2 drives where we were in the red area and we didn't score touchdowns, right? You do that, those games are different. Despite how much we turned the ball over in that game. Against Cincinnati, the turnovers and the lack of points happened collectively. We turned the ball over or got stopped on 4th downs in the red area 3 times. So there's no doubt that when you're playing good teams, even last week, we get stuck. We don't convert a 4th down inside the 10. We miss a one-on-one opportunity inside the 20, and we throw a pick on the 15, whatever it may be, right? Those are all opportunities for points. And when you're playing good people, you got to execute better and take advantage of those opportunities. So I think to Coach's point, good defenses do that. They may give up some yards. They may allow for you to get into the red area. But when you get down there, you got to score touchdowns. And if you do, then you're certainly in a more competitive game, And that has definitely been a factor for our group. Just not being able to finish drives when those opportunities have presented themselves. We haven't done a good enough job in the games that we've lost as far as just converting those field positions into points, into touchdowns. We've settled for too many field goals. We've turned the ball over too much in the red area, and we haven't converted touchdowns. And I think, that's going to be a factor in every game when you're playing against good defenses, and certainly this week will be no different.
Nick, during fall camp and even in the last week or two, a lot of the players have mentioned that that they always have had full faith and confidence in Jack. And even though he's not the everyday starting quarterback, what is it about his personality and work ethic that allows him to have such confidence of his teammates in the room that when he has to go in there that they're all behind him 100% and know that he'll do well?
Yeah, I think you mentioned just his work ethic. I think, that's the easiest way to gain the trust of your teammates. Show them how much you care by how hard you work. And there's not a guy that works harder in our program than Jack Tuttle. And so I think that's a great foundation. And I think he takes the time to show the other players that he does care about them through conversations, through work, through grabbing guys extra. And so Jack's certainly done a great job of that. I just think he's been a great teammate since the day he got here. Both of his parents have done a fantastic job raising him to really care about others. I think he truly does. He cares about his team. He cares about his teammates. He wants to do well for them, and he works that way. And so he's earned that, and it's no surprise to hear that his teammates would share that with you. So, he's just earned that by how he's worked and how he's cared about the guys around him. Okay, thanks, guys.